Oh, my name is Reas, and I studied documentary photography from 1982 to 1984 here in this building behind me, Clarence Place. And I was hoping to make this sort of piece to camera inside the building. Thought I might go inside one of the old dark rooms or one of the old teaching spaces, and came down yesterday to speak to the foreman of the site, because that's what it is now. It's a site. The building's been converted into luxury apartments. So I spoke to the foreman. He was very happy for me to be here. So I came this morning at the planned time, only to discover that the owners of the building, who are a group of bankers, don't allow photography on their premises. And how ironic that is, and how familiar I think that will be to most of us, as the world seems to be kind of increasingly closing down to photography. People seem to be sort of more and more paranoid about photographers, with some justification maybe, but you know, maybe not. So I've been feeling a little bit sort of cheesed off, really wondering what to do. So stood outside here making this film, and one of the builders from the site came over, asked me what I was doing. So I told him, you know, that I was a student here in the 80s, and he said, "Oh, you should come and have a look inside." Well, yes, I'd like to have done that, I said to him, but you know, the bankers won't allow photography. "Oh, don't worry about them," he said, "they're only here for a couple of hours. Look, come back this afternoon and I'll show you around." So I'm going to do that, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Because what it's reminded me of really is the kind of generosity of the people of Newport, and how, you know, for the last 40 years really, they have been willing to let people like me and people like you, students of photography, into their lives really. And we should be so grateful for that, because without that kind of cooperation and willingness on their part, I don't think any of us would have had the kind of rich photographic experiences that we've had, all of which of course started here in Newport. I'm certainly very grateful for that, and I know that that generosity of spirit is still here, because, you know, I find myself now some 25-30 years on teaching back in Newport, teaching on the documentary photography course, and you know, our students still do the person at work project, you know, although in my day it was called Man at Work. They're still knocking on some of those same doors and still being greeted with the same sort of openness and willingness to help and, you know, allow people into their lives. And it's amazing, actually. I'm very, very grateful for that. And my time at Newport was, well, to say it was a life-changing experience wouldn't be to exaggerate the point, really. I came here as a mature student. I was 28 years old, and had previously worked all of my adult life on building sites. And so, you know, when I came to Newport, I was meeting for the first time, really, people from different social backgrounds, different people from different ethnic and religious backgrounds, and it was just such a rich, eye-opening experience, and I'm very, very grateful for that, really. And I can remember David saying, I think maybe even on the first day, that, you know, being a photographer was a privilege, and that the camera was like a passport really into other people's lives and into other experiences that you otherwise wouldn't have. You know, it was an excuse to be nosy, and of course all of that is true, but with that comes a great responsibility, really, that, you know, one has to work with kind of dignity, respect, integrity, commitment, enthusiasm, and knowledge, and all of those things combine to make, I think, great photographers. And I think that was the real ambition, was to try and create a kind of photographic culture, a photographic system of education that would instill in people some of those kind of core principles. And they're principles that we still hold very dear now in documentary photography in 2012, because I think they're things that are really at the heart of what makes good documentary makers. And I know that I've certainly tried to be true to some of those things, and I know that a lot of you guys have too, and just really, really grateful that I had the experience that I had, and that David started the course in '73 with some of those beliefs and the idea that one learns photography through the act of making pictures is really fundamental to the rich experience that we all had. And yeah, thank you, David, for that. And I met some really great people here, people that I studied with, who I'm still very, very good friends with. People who taught here, it's just incredible. You think the kinds of people that went through the doors of this building behind me, Joseph Kudelka, Martin Parr, Paul Hill, Tom Hopkinson, Roger Palmer, David, of course, Keith Arnett, Clive, Daniel, Paul Graham. I remember coming here just after he published the A1, and got a roasting because a lot of us didn't really understand what this colour thing was all about. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. Here we are, small provincial town in South Wales, and yet such a kind of energy existed in this place behind me, and helped produce some really great and important photographers, but more importantly, it's produced some really great people who, whether you're a photographer or not now, doesn't really matter, because I know that in some way we've all been touched by the kind of, the education in life that we had here. And thanks, David, for that opportunity.